They hate when you elevate.
ATP, what it do with your boy Clay More Rain. Shout out to the ATP Combat Media family, all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into content, look, I'm inviting you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icons as well, so you are getting alerts when all this content drops. Teofimo Lopez, back at it again. You guys have seen the video. So Teofimo Lopez makes his way across from the Canelo Alvarez Edgar Berlanga extravaganza, T-Mobile Arena, or was it MGM? Sorry, at MGM. Makes it over to the Sphere, the UFC event that Turkey Al-Sheikh was sponsoring, to confront, or ended up in a confrontation with Terence Crawford, ended up putting his hands on Teofimo a little bit, poked him in the head a couple of times, just let him know you're being a bugaboo. You're coming around and you're being a little bothersome guy, right? What do I think about this? I think at this point, the situation with Teofimo Lopez is kind of moving in a direction that I don't see as, I don't know. I guess there's multiple ways to look at it, right? There's one way to look at it to say that Teofimo is building some buzz around himself, chasing down these fights. But at the same time, there is a little bit of clout chasing energy going on here, a little bit of thirstiness. Teofimo being a 140-pound WBO champion at 140 pounds, instead of looking to unify or make big fights happen in the division that he's in. Keep in mind that Teofimo Lopez has never been on a pay-per-view event, right? He's never even headlined his own pay-per-view event. But, a great fighter. But in my opinion, a boxer that seems to be kind of hurting on activity when it comes to the idea of him staying active where he's at, or making practical moves for fights that are available in front of him. He seems to be very hyper-focused on making this particular fight right now with Terence Crawford the most biggest priority of his life, right? He sees Terence Crawford, he sees something in him that he thinks he could take advantage of, but just not taking into consideration, obviously, that Terence Crawford has no interest in fighting him. He's not even in the same weight class as Terence Crawford, being that he fights at 140. Terence Crawford's last fight was at 154, where he currently holds a WBA title and a WBO interim title, right, at 154. And everybody knows that Terence Crawford has his eyes dead set and focused on trying to put the fight together with Canelo Alvarez. Turkey Al-Sheikh has made statements that would have people believing that Terence Crawford would even entertain retiring if the Canelo Alvarez fight didn't come together. Now, everybody has their different perspectives on Terence Crawford's legitimacy towards a fight with Canelo Alvarez, and I'm sure would compare both scenarios as far as Teofimo coming up 2 weight classes to fight Terence Crawford. But one thing's for sure, 2 things for certain. Terence Crawford isn't interested in fighting Teofimo. I'm pretty sure at this point Teofimo has full awareness and very conscious of that idea. He started off a month or 2 ago talking about fighting Brian Norman Jr. for his WBO title that he had at 147, and somehow that fell through or didn't work out, or there was, some part of the negotiation didn't make sense for Teofimo. Even rumors of him potentially being willing to fight Jerome Boots Ennis, who that would have made more sense to me as far as if you were trying to get a fight with Terence, to go ahead and get Jerome Boots Ennis out the way. But I think we know how that fight would go, right? Or at least have an idea of how that fight would go. But Teofimo looking for fights everywhere but inside of his own division. Instead of making his division whole, unifying, becoming an undisputed champion, there's big fights to happen. Clearly, Devin Haney's there at 140. There's unification opportunities there with Liam Paro. There's fights, even he could take advantage of the Alberto Puello WBC championship situation that Devin Haney has gone ahead and went to recess or has vacated that belt. I'm not too sure how that's worked out. But I mean, listen, your last fight was against Steve Claggett. Nobody's even known who Steve Claggett is. So why wouldn't he take an opportunity to go ahead and take that division, at least become a unified champion in the division? But no, he's focused on going up to 154 to fight Terence Crawford. And now the boxing space actually has a community of content creators that are actually pushing for the fight as well, and gone to the extent of calling Terence Crawford out, saying, this is a fight he should make, and this is the best fight that will be on Terence Crawford's resume if Terence Crawford would have this fight. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I don't know if that's the biggest fight that would be on Terrence Crawford's resume. But I'll tell you this: Terrence Crawford is already a 2-weight class undisputed champion, a 4-weight division champion, about to be unified at 154 soon. If him and Fundora, if Fundora fights somebody else instead of fighting him. But that being said, there's not a lot of things left for him to accomplish to make his legacy even better. Now, Canelo Alvarez would be the ultimate accomplishment for Terrence Crawford, but if the Canelo Alvarez fight doesn't go through for whatever reason, listen, Terrence Crawford is well within his right and well situated to go into the Hall of Fame right now, to walk away from the sport and retire. So Terrence Crawford being tired of the shenanigans and telling Teofimo straight up, we're not fighting, I'm not interested in the fight, and having Teofimo thinking that he's going to terrorize him, had to, put things into perspective for Teo and let Teo know that the only way they could fight would be in the parking lot, because as far as in the ring is concerned, he has no interest in it. And I think that's a proper response. I know people are going to say, oh, this is boxing, this is not the streets. Well, no, it is the streets when we're not boxing. Right? So if we're not boxing, if we're not coordinating a fight, if we're not selling a fight, you don't have the right to just continually stalk me and, get in the middle of my comfort, my recreation time to get in the way. You're stalking me. That's has nothing to do with boxing. I know a lot of boxing fans want to say that has something to do with boxing, but it doesn't. Not from Terrence Crawford's point of view. Somebody who he knows, I'm not fighting you. Why are you here this close to me? This close to my presence, calling me all out my name, telling me I need to fight you. I don't need to do anything. And if we have a situation and we're not going to be in the ring, then the situation is going to be in the street. My advice to Teofimo Lopez would be, brother, fight the fights that are available for you. Make big fights out of those fights that are actually there to be made. Terrence Crawford doesn't seem to be a legitimate option for Teofimo Lopez. He's not interested. I haven't heard Turkey say he's interested in financing the fight. I haven't heard your own promoter and Bob Arum say he's interested in making the fight. You're thirsty for clout. You're completely clout chasing. And I know people want to say that this is just this is how fighters are, and this is such a soft generation, and you can't even call out a fighter anymore without a fighter getting his feelings. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a difference. Everything has its exceptions, obviously, but there's definitely a difference between making videos in your interviews, calling out Terrence Crawford, letting the world know. And there's a difference between that and coming to an event where Terrence Crawford is sitting back, relaxed, and actively trying to promote a fight with Canelo Alvarez, somebody who's fighting right across the street, who, by the way, Teofimo was supposed to be there for. There's a big difference between promoting a fight and just straight up harassing somebody. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out if Teofimo doesn't let up off the gas. I think it can get probably pretty stupid for him. I know people are going to jump. I seen Teofimo Sr. jump up on Punch Drunk Boxing. Shout out to Punch Drunk, and claiming that Terrence threatened him and, trying to play the victim. And all we want to do is fight. All we want to do is box. Brother, box who wants to box you. Stop trying to box somebody who has no interest in boxing you. All that sober next morning reality check conversation you have isn't moving any needles. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Is Teofimo well within his right? Is this the fight that should be happening? Is this a competitive fight? Is Terrence Crawford a fool for not taking this fight? Is he misguided and not seeing what the writing on the wall that Teofimo Lopez is the biggest fight that he could put together right now, and according to some content creation spaces would be the biggest fight on Terrence Crawford's resume? Let me know what you think. Tell me what's going on in the comments. You know how it is. Shout out to my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. If this is your first time tapping into content, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon so you're getting alerts when all this content is dropping. And you know how we carry it. It was in, and at this point, we out.